Now that Russia has been cut off from SWIFT, some may wonder what other avenues exist for Russian financial transactions. We're going to discuss whether or not cryptocurrency could be a viable option. Stick around. Hey everyone, welcome back to Today in Tech. I'm Julia Beauchamp, and I'm here with Computer World senior reporter Lucas Mirian. Lucas, thank you so much for calling in and chatting with us today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So I would imagine, and this was certainly one of my first, one of my first ideas when I heard that, much of the world had moved to cut Russia off from SWIFT, which is, it's a financial messaging network. It allows international economic transactions to go through. Yeah. And my first thought was, okay, if they've been cut off from something that's centralized, it would make sense to move to something decentralized like a cryptocurrency. So, to start off, though, what were the consequences of cutting Russia off from SWIFT?
So essentially, their banks, the key banks, and a lot of their oligarchs can no longer move their money across borders. So they can't get their money that might be stashed in another country. They can't do commerce with businesses outside of Russia because you need the SWIFT network in order to exchange that money across border. So SWIFT basically acts like the secure messaging network between banks and businesses. So a business buys something, that money has to be transferred across the border. Let's say you're in the EU and you're purchasing oil, or you're purchasing, I don't know, whatever else you might be able to, wheat, for example. Then you have to pay them. That money has to transfer between banks, and that's what SWIFT does. It has a secure messaging network in order to do that, and it's trusted by these banks. I think it has 11,000 financial services institutions in more than 200 countries.
So, great. So you can see, and I think we can understand how such a move, has far-reaching economic consequences for, I would imagine even just, everyday Russians who need to have access to their money. So, like I said, now that central entity has been, that tie has been severed to that central entity, I would think that like a decentralized option, like a cryptocurrency, would be appealing. What role can and is cryptocurrency playing with regards to Russia being cut off from SWIFT, and whether or not it's a viable option for everyday financial transactions or larger financial transactions?
So I did talk to some digital investment managers. These are the people who actually put these investments onto these Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoin networks. So they're very tuned in to what's going on, and they absolutely believe that Russian companies and nationals are likely trying to use these networks to move their fiat cash, their government-backed cash, by exchanging it for the different cryptocurrencies. And it's very possible that they are doing that. They can do it through pseudonyms. They can do it through people who aren't banned and will do it for them. However, we are seeing evidence that the on and off ramps, various on and off ramps to these cryptocurrency exchanges are in fact holding to the sanctions. And I believe there were two recently, and it was a pretty big deal because these were the first two, MetaMask and Infura, that act as their cryptocurrency wallets, digital wallets, and an API that act as, like I said, the on and off ramp, in this case for Ethereum cryptocurrency exchanges. And they told users who are trying to access funds or exchange funds in those regions in Russia, they're going to be met with error messages. So they are able to block them. But like I said, the problem is that Russia could still have people who aren't sanctioned working for them. The penalties for that are pretty severe, so there's a good likelihood that people won't be doing that. But when you're desperate times call for desperate.
And that sort of surprises me because it seems like at least the stereotype of cryptocurrency is, it's this secretive way for people to transfer money for perhaps, illegal or unsavory things. That's certainly like the nefarious stereotype. And it's a little surprising to me to hear that, it's possible to just simply stop a transaction. Can you go into like sort of what the mechanics of that look like?
Yeah, so sanctioned, and don't get me wrong, sanctioned entities and criminals absolutely can hide in cryptocurrency networks. But the thing is, they have a hard time getting their money in and out. Like I said, these on and off ramps, which do monitor the entities that are using the cryptocurrency networks. Cryptocurrency networks themselves are based on blockchain, which is an encrypted electronic ledger.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a private ledger used between a group of companies that are paying for goods, for example, or it can be a public ledger like Bitcoin. And there it's kind of a Wild West show. Anybody can use the ledger, and it is very much anonymous. So other than these entities that control the digital wallets that actually control where the money is stored, and the API companies that actually create the link between an application and the network, it is kind of a free-for-all. You don't know who owns those assets once they're in the network because everything's encrypted.
Mm-hmm. And how has this move to block Russia from SWIFT, how has that affected sort of like the value of these cryptocurrencies? Has there been a big move for people, exchanging their rubles in Russia's case for, Bitcoin, Ethereum, what have you?
Yeah. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, you go to the ATM and you find out that you're limited to what you can withdraw because of the sanctions, which absolutely happened to the Russian people.
Mm-hmm.
Ordinary Russian people are absolutely using these cryptocurrency networks, and it showed the Monday after the sanctions went into place. And in fact, the Treasury put in additional sanctions on cryptocurrency specifically, or requested them. The price of Bitcoin rose over 10%, and the price of Ethereum, also a large cryptocurrency, jumped over 7%. So we're definitely seeing rises in the value of the cryptocurrencies and trade volumes with them as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I'm curious now about sort of like what the forward facing thing is here. I'm like, could the ability to, or I wonder if this is setting a precedent by, perhaps blocking cryptocurrency transactions. Is that do you feel that that's in any way sort of setting a precedent for the ability to block such transactions for other things that are illegal or sanctioned? I could see if you're a cryptocurrency super fan that you want, a sort of hands-off way to exchange money, that this could be concerning in the future.
I don't think anybody questions the fact that money laundering happens on cryptocurrency networks all the time. And that's one of the biggest concerns and one of the difficulties of governments to regulate these exchanges. Mm-hmm. They are looking into methods of doing that. And like I said, the on and off ramps are probably the most obvious way to do that. But it is still possible to launder money. And in this case, Russian oligarchs and banks, the government, to use them as well. But I think that what they're doing is they're getting kind of a groundswell. Not everyone, don't get me wrong. There were some that flat out refused to do this. The name is escaping me right now. Coinbase, that was it. It's one of the largest U.S. crypto exchanges. They responded basically saying they don't have any plans to impose kind of a blanket ban on Russian customers because they know that a lot of these customers aren't up to nefarious dealings on their network. Mm-hmm. Just trying to make a living and to get money to live on. The other thing that this might cause, and in fact, some are already saying, this could cause cryptocurrencies to become more mainstream because when fiat money or government-backed money is no longer a resource, more people are going to turn to this in order to get their money cross-border. So this could actually have a side effect of making cryptocurrencies more mainstream. Oh, and I forgot to mention this as well. The stablecoin, so cryptocurrencies, as we know, the value of cryptocurrencies is very volatile. I mean, it goes up and like mountain peaks.
Right.
But you can also use stablecoin, which is fiat-backed or government-sanctioned cash-backed cryptocurrency. in order to move your money. So those are stable because they're backed by actual money. And then you have non-fungible tokens, which are backed by assets. So there are forms of cryptocurrency that have intrinsic value, unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, which their value is basically based on the demand.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I know that some countries and some, countries' treasuries have created, a digital currency alternative.
Yeah, trying to get ahead of the ball.
Yeah. So I'm just, before we wrap up, mostly just because I'm curious, what does, an XYZ country, sanctioned stablecoin look like, and how is that different than just like, going and paying, giving a $5 bill to pay for coffee?
So basically what you're doing is it's digital currency. So you can use and people already are buying things with these digital currencies using their mobile phone, for example. And it would be like a QR code where you just raise it up and you'd be able to purchase whatever you wanted to using that QR code, which represents your cryptocurrency, and you can make that exchange. So what governments are looking into, because kind of want to get ahead of the curve, is the fact that right now it's costly and it takes time to exchange money cross-border right now.
Right.
There are certain fees attached to it, of course, SWIFT charges. It can take, if anybody who uses a credit card knows that oftentimes the money transfers can take 3 days or more. In case of getting a refund, it can take a lot longer.
Yeah.
But cryptocurrency exchanges are instantaneous. And it's sort of, like I said, a Wild West right now. So while there is some regulatory oversight, a lot of it's not. So companies are creating actually their own networks along with governments to exchange money between their vendors across borders. So it saves them a lot of money. It saves them a lot of time. And governments, like I said, are trying to get out ahead of this and saying, look, we want to create something more stable than that, something that we can actually have oversight of. And so you are going to see more governments, I think, adopting this. Whether or not it takes off as a replacement for fiat, as a replacement, SWIFT, in fact, has their own cryptocurrency network. So this is becoming mainstream, although the amount of money that's transferred right now is a fraction of what is transferred in actual fiat-backed currency.
Sure. Great. Well, thank you so much, Lucas. I think that this is a really good understanding of, what role cryptocurrency can play when, a nation or a people is cut off from sort of, the worldwide financial system. So thank you so much. I think there's a lot of really valuable info here.
You're welcome. A lot of fun.
And thank you all so much for watching this episode of Today in Tech. If you liked this video, you can go ahead and give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every single time we post a new video. If you have any questions or comments about what role cryptocurrency plays, in the current world, in the future, do let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.